Do you ever look at your favorite golfer and go, how do they create this beautiful centered pivot in the backswing? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you from the ground up how to do this effortlessly. So if you take a look at the swings on the screen right now, you can see this centered pivot is very much a consistent theme across PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, DP World Tour, whatever tour that you're looking at with the best players in the world. Now, the reason why this is such a crucial part of the golf swing is if we have this nice centered pivot, it's going to set us up beautifully for the downswing to where we can have a shift and then we can start to rotate. Quite often I see people especially sway away from the target way too much. Now from here, you've just left yourself way too much work to do in the downswing. So ultimately from there, you're going to be inconsistent. Your strikes are going to be all over the place. It's going to be very hard to actually just even enjoy this game. So we're going to work from the ground up. We're going to start with the pressure in the feet. Now, there is a lot of debate about what should sort of happen in the feet. And when we look at the swing catalyst, the mats, the force plate data, we can see that a lot of the best players in the world will set up with irons a little bit more on their lead leg. So let's just call it about 60% of their weight on their lead leg. With driver, it'll be pretty 50-50, maybe still slightly more on their lead leg. Very rarely do you see people actually set up with their weight on their trail foot. Here's where sort of the conversation starts. You have some methods like stack and tilt and golfers that are along that sort of realm that want to stay more on their left side. Now you have other golfers who want to be a little bit more dynamic, and you will see they have this little push off their lead foot onto their trail foot, and then they'll do a recentering movement. So here's the thing, I'm fine with you doing either. There are definitely golfers out there who are so used to being on their trail foot that by focusing on keeping their pressure on their lead leg, it's going to help them create this center pivot. But then there are other golfers who are a lot more dynamic in their footwork, and they like to have that shift off because it kickstart their swing with some momentum, and then they'll have that recentering movement. The key is understanding point A, which is set up, and point B, which in this situation is going to be top of backswing, and understanding that there are two different ways of getting there. So point A, like I said, a little bit more pressure in the lead leg if we're talking about irons right here. By the time we get to point B, which is top of backswing, I actually want you to feel 50-50, maybe even again, slightly more on your lead leg. Why? Because technically we start to shift back towards the target before we finish the backswing. So if I start to shift back towards the target around left arm parallel, by the time I actually get to quote unquote position 4 top of backswing, I'm going to be a little bit more on my left side to where I continue to then shift and rotate all the way through to target. So at address, 60-40, at top of backswing, 60-40, just for simplicity's sake. Now, some golfers, like I said, will want to have a little shift off and then a recenter. Other golfers will want to stay on their left side and just pivot through. Now, if you are a golfer who struggles with getting sort of too much onto your trail leg, I've got a really simple feeling that's going to help you with this. Yes, you can focus on the lead leg, but actually I really like to put some emphasis on the trail foot. So if I set up here, I want you, if you're a golfer who gets stuck on your trail foot, I want you to make a backswing and feel like you keep a little bit more pressure on the inside part of your trail foot. Don't let it sort of drift towards the outside part. I want you to make a swing where you feel like you can keep that pressure on the inside part of the trail foot. If I do that, I feel like my knee stays in slightly, and as you can see, that keeps me in this nice centered position right there. Now, a very simple drill that can help you with this is simply grabbing another golf ball and doing what I class as the bank drill. So you can see I've put that ball underneath the outer part of my trail foot. Now, if I make a backswing, I'm going to feel like I keep the pressure on the inside part of the foot and a little bit more towards the heel, and you can see that's going to help me stay in this nice centered position. Now, this is a drill, like I said, for golfers who get very stuck on their trail leg. It's a really nice little cue for you. So in terms of pressure, it's important to understand starting position and top of backswing. Just note, some golfers will want to have that shift off and then a recenter. Other golfers will want to feel like they stay on the left side. Now, personally, when you look at my swing, I'm a little bit more of a shift off recenter. So let me show you sort of what this one will look like. So I'll have a little push off recenter, but by the time I get to the top of the backswing, I'm actually going to be a little bit more on my lead foot, because remember, the weight shift starts before we finish the backswing. So let me show you what this looks like right here. So now let's work up the body, and now let's start to talk about the pelvis. So again, let's focus on point A, point B, and I'm going to give you some drills that are going to help you in terms of whether you prefer to stay a little bit more stacked or have that shift off and a recenter. So at address, we will see that the pelvis is pretty much in the middle of the feet, or if anything, slightly closer towards the lead leg, just because you'll have a little bit more pressure on that lead leg. A great way of checking this is just draw lines down from the edges of the shoulders. You should see that your pelvis is slightly closer towards your lead line. If you look like this, then you must address that first. Now, by the time we get to the top of the backswing, if I draw 2 lines down my hips at address, by the time I get to the top of the backswing, we would see that the pelvis have created about a golf ball worth of space right here. Now this happens for 2 reasons. Number one is the shape of the pelvis. It's sort of an oval shape. If you turn an oval, and the easiest way to show you that is if I stand tall and just turn, you can see how my trail hip is sort of arced back and around. And the second reason is, like I said, we've already started to shift towards the target, so we're going to have a little bit more pressure on our lead leg at the top of the backswing, meaning that the pelvis is going to be slightly closer towards the target. So it doesn't matter if you're more of a stack and tilt method, draw those lines down, you're just going to feel like as you turn back, you keep this left glute connected to this lead line right here, and you create that golf ball worth of space. Or if you're somebody who has that little shift off and a recenter, you're going to feel obviously that slight pressure shift, but by the time you get back to the top, you again would have created that golf ball worth of space. Now let's jump into the first drill. This one you do not need a golf club for. Take your hands, get into your golf posture, place them on the sides of your legs. Now you're going to make a backswing pivot, and as you pivot, you're going to take your left hand or your lead hand, slide it down to the edge of your lead knee, and your trail hand's going to slide up to the top part of your trail hips. You're going to go here and you're going to slide like this, and you can see as I do this, I'm creating a really nice center pivot here. Now for the second drill, I need you to grab an alignment stick. Now I've got a basket here. If you're on grass, just stick the alignment stick into the grass. Now this is going to help you 2 different ways. Number one, if you are a stack and tilt golfer, so somebody who just wants to keep a little bit more pressure on your left leg, you're going to set up to the golf ball right here. You're going to bring this alignment stick so it's literally just touching your trail hip at address right here. Now you're going to make a backswing pivot and turn, and feel like again you can create that golf ball worth of space right there. This is going to ensure that you're keeping your pressure in a good position. You can see about a golf ball worth of space, and then I'm going to be in a good spot to just shift and turn on the way down. But if you're a golfer who wants to do a little bit more of a shift, recentering sort of movement, what I want you to do is set up to the golf ball normally, place this alignment stick so it's about 2 finger widths, so about 1 inch outside of your trail hip. You can then have that little bit of a shift to gently touch the alignment stick. Once you've then touched it and once you've swung past about shaft parallel, then you can start to shift back towards the target and recenter on the way through. Now, just as you're doing this, make sure this alignment stick doesn't sort of stick too far out in front of you, so you can move it back slightly, even if you want it just sort of more on your trail hip. But if I just set up here, you can see about 2 fingers away from my address position, so just bring that a little bit closer. Let me show you what this looks like. Here, shift off, recenter, and through. So let's now talk about what the upper body is doing. And I think a lot of people, they sort of miss off one crucial aspect when it comes to the upper body. Now, a lot of people understand, okay, we're in our golf posture here, and as we turn, we want to create some tilt to the shoulders. A lot of people understand that, but the aspect that they miss is that they stay what we class in too much front bend. So as a byproduct, you will see their head go off in this direction. Now, the thing that helps us keep our head nice and centered is by adding what we class as thoracic extension. And this is thoracic extension, essentially me extending my chest upwards to the sky. So you can see if I don't have any thoracic extension, my head is moved away from the target. If I add some thoracic extension, I can keep it a lot more centered. Now, a lot of people are going to go, well, aren't you just reverse pivoting? No, the only way you can reverse pivot is if your pelvis starts to go this way too much, or you get into a position to where you're stacked on your left side and you tilt your head towards the target. I'm not saying move your head towards the target. We're just trying to add some thoracic extension to keep our head centered as we move the pelvis correctly. So if you move the pelvis correctly and the head just stays centered, it doesn't actually work towards the target, you will not be reverse pivoting. Now let's give you a really simple drill to help you with this. So what I want you to do is grab your golf club, place it right into the center of your chest or your sternum, and then just grip down to where your arms are just gently extended down into this position. Now, if you were in a position to where you didn't have enough thoracic extension, you would look something like this at the top of the backswing. The golf club is pointing slightly down to the ground. Now, what I want to be seeing is as you get into this position, if you were to try and extend your back upwards to get this club level, you can see how my head has now come back into a centered position. So you're trying to get this golf club parallel to the ground right here. So if I turn, you can see I'm keeping it parallel to the ground right there. This is a really nice centered position. What I don't want you to do is just do it with your arms. You want to feel like your arms are just a dead weight here. And as you're turning, you're allowing this thoracic extension to keep your head in a nice centered position. And you can see I've got some great tilt to my shoulders right there. So now if I make a swing, I keep that thoracic extension in there. I can have my head stay nice and centered. That's going to set me up beautifully for the downswing to where I can achieve that great ball and ground contact. Let me hit a shot for you right here showing you what this looks like. So there you have it. That is how you create a centered pivot. I've gone from the ground all the way up, and I've tried to give you some variations in there to help you sort of match to your swing style. I know some players like to feel like they stay on their left leg. Other players like to feel like they shift off. Remember, the word feel is being used in there. Feel versus real can be two different things, but I wanted to give you the options to give you the best possible video. Now, if you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and subscribe. Also, if you need some more one-to-one help with myself, I offer online coaching on the Gill platform. The link is down in the description, so please check it out. I hope to see you back here soon.